Hi, my name is Bethany, and this is my hope story. I grew up in a Christian home. I was introduced to God and the scriptures at a very early age. My dad was a pastor, so I grew up going to Sunday school, doing things in the youth group. I went to a Christian school, a Christian high school, was involved in a lot of projects, community projects, missions trips. It was very much a part of my life. But I was still struggling. There was something missing. There wasn't that relationship with God that I thought that I had. Instead, what I had was a bunch of knowledge and understanding of the scriptures and basically of who God was and how he was taught to me, which kind of put God in a box in my mind, which kept me from really fully experiencing him. When I was around a lot of people in college and being in Louisville, and I started exploring other religions while still attending church, and that just led to a total identity crisis. And then I started becoming more vocal about how I wanted to step away from the faith. I remember working at the coffee shop, and this woman came up to me who I sort of knew. I knew she was a very godly woman, and she was the boss's wife, and she came up to me and she's like, "Hey, I don't know why I need to tell you this, but I know that God's telling me to do this." And she said, "You are loved and you are God's. And I don't know what's going on in your life right now, but you need to know that." And she gave me a hug, and I could have just started crying because there was no way that she knew what was going on. So at that point, I knew I needed to decide what I was going to do with my life, whether it was going to be away from God or with God. Around that time, my husband and I met. And I know that was a God thing. We started looking at a bunch of churches, and it felt like years just struggling to find a community where we felt accepted and also comfortable in our vulnerability in our community, which that just never was happening. And it got really frustrating. A bunch of signals in our life pointed us to Hope City. I remember coming to the first service together, and I remember loving the fact that everybody was open and genuine. And I remember thinking, let's just go find a church that we can say we go to and let it be that. But God had a different way of saying, "Hey, I want you to be planted somewhere, and I want you to grow." And when I started thinking why it never worked at any of the churches, the best analogy I could come up with is we are like fruits and vegetables, like sweet vegetation that God wants us to grow. We're planted, and hopefully we can grow, but different plants need different soil. And Hope City is soil that I have found to be rich and nourishing to us. I'm slowly letting my guard down. I'm peeling away insecurities and baggage, and healing from my past. And my journey is so far from being over as it is for all of us. And it's a place where I know, and I'm slightly fearful of what God might do, but I'm excited to see what God might do. But I know that there is a family behind me here that will see me through and also continue to love me through this process.